Hey everyone, it's Dave with Android Police, and once again we're looking at some software features on the Galaxy S5. This video is going to be kind of our overview of what's new on the Galaxy S5 as far as the general UI and software is concerned. Obviously, TouchWiz is looking a little different on the Galaxy S5. You're going to notice a lot of elements have been pulled from the new Tab Pro series devices that Samsung unveiled at CES this year. Especially if you pull down this notification bar, you're going to see you've got these nice flat quick toggles up here. They look a lot nicer than the old ones. You'll see also added, you've got these permanent S-Finder and Quick Connect shortcuts. And there is no way to remove those that I've found, unfortunately, for those two things that you will likely never ever use, which is a bit annoying. But you can get rid of the brightness slider that you might actually want, which is kind of funny. You can see you've got all Samsung's various features you can enable on the second panel of the notification bar. Again, looking very flat. Notification bar itself otherwise looks, you know, like a notification bar. As you can see, if we go back to the home screen here, the actual app icons don't look too much different. They are a little flatter, but if you go to the left, where you'd expect maybe a Google Now on a Nexus device, you get Samsung's My Magazine system. The My Magazine is essentially a lot like HTC Blink Feed. It serves you content from your favorite websites and sources, social sources, picture sharing websites, etc. And then just general news. You can pick what kind of, like if you want UK news, food and dining news, music news, etc. And you can scroll through that, and you know it'll open up an article if you tap it in the My Magazine reader. Apparently, it doesn't want to download this one, but that's something new and noteworthy. And as far as we can tell, there's once again no way to disable that. You're stuck with it. Another neat feature we've actually stumbled across is this thing called the Toolbox, which if you see this little three-dot menu right here, you might notice if I tap it, I get a bunch of little app icons. So if you want to bring up a floating browser, or wait, no, sorry, that's not the floating browser, or a calculator or something, you can do that with this little toolbox thing. You can find that here in settings under toolbox, which is right there. And you can edit the applications that are in it. So pretty much any application can go in the toolbox if you decide your app tray on the bottom here isn't enough to house all your most frequently used apps. Certainly handy, I suppose, especially considering it's persistent through all apps, no matter what app you're running. So it's always going to be there. Probably a handy way to switch tasks if you're constantly opening one app and going to another, I suppose. And then just close it out and it turns transparent when you're not focused on it. The multi-window feature is, of course, made a return on the Galaxy S5. It essentially looks just like it does on the Note 3 and Tab Pros. You can do two applications at once. Nothing new going on there. Going back to the settings menu, as you can see, the settings menu by default looks very different. We've got this iconated kind of setup now, as opposed to the list view that Samsung had used for a long time. And then previously on the Galaxy S4 and Note 3, the tab settings, which I personally found Samsung's implementation on that pretty lacking. This is pretty nice because what you can do is you can hide various types of settings. So if you don't want network settings, if you want connect and share or whatever, you can put that all there. And so it's pretty convenient overall. You get all kinds of access to, you know, all the stuff you need. Samsung's actually also integrated application settings in here for various Samsung apps. So you got like the call settings, contact settings, email settings, gallery, internet, messages, S-Plan or S-Voice, which is nice if you're using those apps. I don't think you'll see any other apps in there though. This is obviously going to be limited to Samsung Suite. Speaking of Samsung Suite of stuff, you'll notice the Samsung App Store is still on these phones, but the Samsung Hub is gone. Samsung Hub, of course, being where Samsung sold movies, music, and television. And maybe it'll come back in final software, but there were rumors going around that Google had pressured Samsung to get rid of this content store, and it seems like they may have followed through on that, interestingly enough. Going through the home screens here, there's not too much different. It's very smooth, obviously. The software experience has been pretty great, aside from when you open My Magazines. That does generate a bit of lag, I suppose. So if we hit the long press, if we long press the multi-window, or excuse me, the multitasking button there, we get essentially a settings menu. You can see Samsung's new home screen management looks a lot more like the one you get on the Google Experience Launcher. You got the widgets here, wallpapers, and home screen settings. Home screen settings are very limited. Oh, and you can disable My Magazine apparently, so I guess I was wrong. So My Magazine can be gotten rid of, which probably most of us will want to do shortly after getting the device. We go into the dialer app here, and you can see it doesn't look too much different from what it did or does currently on the Note 3. As far as other apps, a lot of the apps have gotten flatter makeovers. If you go into S Planner here, you can see, you've got a hamburger menu, and you've got this, flat color on top, and everything just looks a little more modern, I guess. This isn't the huge update to TouchWiz I think everybody was expecting, but it is a pretty big one. The notification bar is different, the settings area is different, even Samsung's browser has a new look too. So there's definitely been a lot of changes that have happened here. It still looks like TouchWiz, but it looks like, in my opinion at least, a much less ugly TouchWiz in most respects. And like I said, it does feel very fast and snappy too, something the Galaxy S4 admittedly struggled from compared to some of its competitors at the time. So yes, that has been our brief overview of software of the Samsung Galaxy S5, and you can read our article for more information.